Good morning, happy 14th day of Vlogmas. I've got a medical appointment bang in the middle of my day today, which is quite annoying. Work have been really good about it, thankfully. So I just got up this morning, did some work, and now I'm off for my appointment, and then I will carry on working when I get back. The benefits of flexi work, I am so grateful for it. I will catch up with you properly at the end of the working day. Good evening. It's been a bit of a funny old day today. I've made a list of things that I want to talk about because there's more than one thing. So I guess I'll start off with an update about my day. So I had my medical appointment, which took up quite a lot of the day. It's 9:15 now, so I just kind of worked quite late into the evening to make up for the fact that I'd sort of missed a load of time during the day. But I have, unfortunately, found out that I'm not actually a COVID contact, but I am a bit worried that I might have been at risk of getting COVID, and I just want to be super careful, so I've decided to basically to isolate in the loft where I am at home and keep doing lateral flow tests every day for like the foreseeable future, which obviously is not ideal but feels very much like the right thing to do for me. I think it's really important with COVID to really respect other people's right to be cautious for themselves and for their families. I know that my worry and anxiety around COVID related things has fluctuated quite a lot over the last couple of years, but yeah, right now I definitely really want to be more on the cautious side, so that does mean that my videos will be back to the old isolating in the loft videos, like literally like a repeat of last year, which is what I was doing when this YouTube channel was kind of in the process of like really starting to be something that I was throwing myself into and enjoying. Obviously around Christmas time it's really not ideal to not be seeing friends and family, but I think the whole of the UK is just like cases are super high at the moment, and I think everybody is in the process of like cancelling social events. There's so much stuff that I have been supposed to do during this kind of holiday period that has got cancelled because of COVID, and I think that's only going to increase as we get even closer to Christmas. That was the kind of rubbishy news of today, and like I said, then I just worked fairly late into the evening. Anyway, after I'd finished working, I finished off the film that I started yesterday with my dinner. It was called One Special Night, and it was Julie Andrews and James Garner as like elderly. Like, I guess they were supposed to be maybe around 60. They were like coming up to retirement age, and it was just like such a sweet and charming film. Basically, I watched it because I love Julie Andrews. I could listen to Julie Andrews speak, never mind sing, just like constantly. Her voice, her speaking voice is so beautiful, and then of course her singing voice is gorgeous as well. I'm in a bit of a Julie Andrews binge phase at the moment. I'm listening to her Christmas albums on Spotify, kind of on repeat. She's got such a beautiful, pure voice, and I adore it. I just love her. I've realised I'm so suited to Christmas films. I'm exactly the kind of person who really loves Christmas films. I really love happy stories, but I never watch Christmas films, with the exception of The Muppet Christmas Carol, which we watch without fail every Christmas Eve, and which is an amazing film. I'm not well watched in other Christmas films at all, so let me know if you have highly recommended Christmas films that you think I should get around to watching. The journaling prompt for today, which I haven't talked about yet, was abundance, and the first part of this was to reflect on something that you feel like you have in abundance that you maybe don't really take the time to appreciate as much as you should. I chose love, and I do feel really, really privileged to be surrounded by an awful lot of people who love me and who I love back. I've got really amazing family and friends, and I'm so, so grateful for that. The second part of the prompt was, how can I share this abundance that I have with others? And something that I want to be better at is just like willingly dedicating more time to the small things. I think in modern society especially, but probably always, it's really easy to get caught up in our own heads and in our own plans and wanting to move on to the next thing. And I want to be better at just like accepting spending longer with people, you know, letting the phone call last that bit longer and really listening to somebody, having that cup of tea and letting the conversation drift on for an hour rather than feeling like I need to be doing and completing the next task. That's something that I want to be better at, because I do have this amazing abundance of love in my life and I want to be better at sharing that, especially as I really think that love breeds love, and you know, the more love that you give out, the more love there is in the world in general. The more loved other people feel, the more happy they are and willing they are to love, and it's just this lovely like virtuous circle. The final thing I wanted to talk about was books. I have actually finished some books at last. Hurrah! This has been quite a quiet reading month, but over the last couple of days I've finished 2 books. The first one I actually finished on the train but then forgot to talk about, and this was 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Harari, which I read on my Kindle. This was a really interesting book. I started it in non-fiction November and it just took me a while to get around to finishing it. So it was kind of a whistle-stop tour through 21 issues, I guess, which are present in society right now. So Harari was effectively looking at the results of modernisation and what these mean for us today, and a lot of the moral problems that are related to this. So there was a lot of stuff to do with technology, the development of technology and algorithms, and how these are or are in the near future going to affect our lives, and moral problems that are tied to this. So an example was, do you program self-driving cars so that if an accident's going to happen, and one choice is that they swerve, killing 2 children, and the other choice is that they crashed, killing the driver, which one do you program them to do? And more to the point, do you have like a capitalist system where people can choose to buy a car which saves them as the driver? And yeah, just these like interesting moral issues, and then saying like, should governments get involved in this, or should it be left to the consumer? Lots of different things along those lines. I found it really fascinating. I think Harari writes in a super clear, informative style, and he's clearly like an incredibly rational, reasonable, deeply thought man who I really respect. I gave it 4 stars because objectively I feel like it was really good, but I didn't massively enjoy it. I found it hard to put my finger on exactly why. I think I probably just partly wasn't really in the mood for thinking as much as I needed to think to make the most out of this book. It felt quite a pessimistic book in many ways, because he sort of ripped apart all of the ways in which we find meaning in life, and kind of exposed, which is something that I struggle with quite a lot in life anyway, kind of exposed the depth of the moral dilemmas which exist to us in modern society, and the fact that like you basically can't live a life which is fully aligned with your moral values. There's always going to be areas where you're not doing enough, and the world has so many evils and sorrows and injustices in it, which we can't individually fix, but then also if we're not trying to fix them, then we're kind of being a bad person in our failure to try. It felt a little bit like that, and then he sort of frustrated me at the end because one of his arguments was about how we ask the question, what is the meaning of life? And we expect to be told a story, but he says, you know, there is no story answer to that, like there is no religious story answer to that. All these things are just fiction, and while fiction is good and you can learn things from fiction, it's not the solution. And he was then like, the solution is to meditate and to just accept what is right here, right now. And I meditate for 2 hours every day, and I go on a 2-monthly long meditation retreat every year. And I was just like, it's not really the model of the life that I want. And I want to believe in stories because stories make my life mean something. So yeah, I guess I just kind of disagreed with him, or didn't really want to think too hard about this idea that stories aren't enough, because that feels like it destroys something which gives my life a vast amount of meaning. The other book that I read is this little book which I bought the other day. It's like super short, and it's mostly pictures, so it was a really fast read. I actually read this while I was waiting for my appointment today in maybe like 15 or 20 minutes. Oh, it was wonderful. I loved it. You know what, reflecting on it now as well, I realised that this was kind of the antidote to 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, whereas Harari was kind of arguing against stories, like not entirely, but a little bit. This book, Neil Gaiman just goes all out, passionate about stories, passionate about art, passionate about creating, about putting something new into the world, about doing what you love, and this was just the perfect read. I found it so motivating, so beautiful, really loved it. Chris Riddell's illustrations are absolutely perfect. This was a pure delight, and I would reread this in a heartbeat. Okay, I think we're going to round up the vlog there. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope that you're doing really well, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.